Hey, welcome to game week 1. First, want to start by saying and just taking a moment to recognize the 13 brave American soldiers who passed in Afghanistan and gave their life for our country and the people of Afghanistan. I think it hits close to home because of two connections that we have with the state of Missouri. Jared Schmitz, who was a graduate of Fort Zumwalt South from Wentzville, Missouri, and then Dagan Page from Nebraska. His father, Greg Page, is a Mizzou alum, and so it says in the Bible, no greater love than to lay down your life for a friend. And obviously these fine, brave American soldiers did that, and so just want to take a moment and recognize their sacrifice and their family's sacrifice and say we thank you and appreciate you for that. Also, would like to welcome the addition of Chuck Hicks. Chuck Hicks is a linebacker, a transfer linebacker from Wyoming, originally from San Diego. We had a connection through the high school coach. Jethro Franklin had known the high school coach for a long time, and once Chuck put his name in the portal and was in there a couple of days, we realized there was a connection there, and he's actually here. Today will be his first practice, and look forward to getting Chuck on the field, and he's already in classes and all that. This is really annoying. Like, this is a joke. Sorry about that. Obviously excited for game week. We've put in a lot of work. Our players have put in a lot of work for the last 9 months to get to this moment. Whether it's extra 6 a.m. workouts, spring football, Saturdays throughout the summer, our guys have done a tremendous job of everything we've asked them to do in order to be at this moment, and excited about what this means for us and our program and going into year 2. Obviously, Central Michigan is a really good football team, in my opinion. Jim McElwain's done a tremendous job there. 2 years ago was the MAC Coach of the Year. Last year, I think they were 3-3, had some close games. Obviously, he's an excellent coach, national championship offensive coordinator. He's got experience in the NFL. Obviously, he's got experience in this league. I believe he was won the SEC East twice as the head coach of Florida. So a great offensive mind, a tremendous head football coach. Have gone against him one other time when he was a head football coach when I was at Boise State, and so have a lot of respect for the way he is going to have his team prepared and what they're going to be about. Their defensive coordinator, Rob Akey, a lot of experience primarily in the defensive line, which is reflected in the strength of their team as a defensive line unit. Was the head coach at Idaho for an extended period of time, and then spent some time in the NFL as a D-line coach, and then at Florida. And so know we have our hands full with the scheme. Football-wise, they've got some really good players on both sides of the ball, very sound in their schemes of what they're trying to do on the offensive side of the ball. There's a lot of questions on who are going to play quarterback, but Coach McElwain's been an excellent quarterback coach his entire career, so I don't really think it matters as much who lines up behind him. They've got a couple of dynamic playmakers. Number 88, Khalil Pimpleton, is a really dynamic playmaker. They get him the ball in a lot of different ways, playing at slot, playing at Wildcat. He can throw it as well as run it. Wildcat is not really a gimmick for them. It's a big part of their offense. They'll get into it first and second down, third down. They'll get into it in second and long situations. He does throw the ball really well. It's going to be a real challenge for us to maintain discipline on the defensive back end and trust whether we're in coverage or whether we're in man-to-man, to make sure we complete our assignments until the whistle is blown when 88 has the ball in his hands, because he does throw the football. Number 7, the running back, is a really good player, a featured player, has a couple of really big runs last year, a guy that when 88 and 7 are in the backfield creates some gap issues, and so it's going to be a real challenge for us defensively to trust our rules and trust our game plan. But they've got some really good skill players and a really good scheme, and it's going to be a challenge for our defensive staff and for our defensive players. On the defensive side of the ball, they base out of a 4-down front. They return, They've changed some guys around. You know, at the first of the year, it was 10 returning starters. They just released their depth chart. I think it's around 8 returning starters, but some of the other guys are backups. The 2 defensive ends, Trey Hairston is a dynamic all-MAC player. I think he had double-digit sacks in his career. Laquan Johnson is a guy who played significant minutes and had sacks in production in 2019, was injured last year, I believe, in the first game, and now he's back. So they've got 2 really talented edge defenders, and then their linebackers are downhill physical players that do a nice job with stopping the run. So it's going to be a tough test for us with their schemes and what they try to do, combined with the talent level that they have. This is not a team that's scared to go in and play on the road. In 2016, I believe they beat Oklahoma State when they were ranked 21 in the country. And then in 2019, they had a 1-possession game in the fourth quarter versus the University of Miami, or Miami University, or however you say it, whatever order it goes in. So we've got to be prepared, and our team has got to respond the right way, and it starts today with a great day of practice. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
How different do you feel this season headed into week 1 versus how you might have felt last year going to play Alabama?
Well, I mean, I see y'all in person, which is totally different than what it was last year. Our microphone's not working, which is a totally different problem than what we're facing last year. So I think things are a lot different. Have an anticipation for what a home field at Faurot is going to look like. That's going to be unique and exciting. But yeah, I think anytime you go into a week 1 opponent, you're never quite sure where you're at. You kind of got a general idea, but until you play a game against an opponent, you're not really sure what you got. And so that's kind of what's going on in my mind.
What are some of those areas specifically that you feel like you never kind of know until you see guys in a real game action?
All of them. I don't think you can take anything for granted, whether it's the quarterback position with returning experience, the kickers. What you did last year has nothing to do with what you're going to do this year. Your preparation, your work ethic, your ability to get ready and kind of recreate what your identity is going to be has to be part of your DNA of what you want to become. I think whether it's the veteran experience on the D-line or the offensive line or the quarterback position or the wide receiver position, those guys still got to go prove it. Nobody's going to give them anything. We're certainly not giving them anything, and so we got to go prove it, what we have, and we got to show how much better or how much more we've improved.
Considering you had normal continuity in the offseason, where do you feel like that provides for you going into this year that you didn't have all the start and stop?
Define normal. I mean, we put in a new defensive scheme. I had 5 transfers. I don't think there is I think there's no such thing as normal anymore. I think you're constantly going to be having to forge an identity based off of what each individual circumstance is. And so, I mean, obviously we didn't have the disruptions for COVID, but we still get the SEC rules handed out yesterday, and you still got to test once a week, and you still got breakthrough cases that are happening. So I think we're all just going to take it one day at a time, like a good coach would say.
You had a full spring and a full camp to see Steve's defense and what he's installed. How do you feel about what you have there, and are you feel more equipped with his defense going into the season?
Yeah, I mean, I feel very comfortable with the scheme that we're trying to install, and I feel like our defense is very comfortable in what we're asking them to do, and the rules that are, the adjustments that they have. But we haven't been tested by fire yet. We haven't had the adversity of being down or giving up points on a scoreboard, and so we're going to have to see how all that comes together, whether it's our defensive staff working together, whether it's me reacting to what occurs in the game or making adjustments, defenses giving up a big play and figuring out how to fix it on the sideline. So I think there's a lot of questions that still have to be answered. I have a lot of confidence. Obviously, Steve's been coaching football for a long time and knows what it takes, and our staff knows what it takes. But again, just like anything else, until you really do it, you're not going to be quite sure where the deficiencies are and what has to be fixed.
The lines aren't it's super commonplace for true freshmen to come in and play, but you got Connor, Mekhi Wingo, and Arden Walker all here on your depth chart. I mean, what's it say about those guys that they've been able to come in and put themselves in that position?
Well, I think it says a couple of things. We're recruiting high-level players, and it says these guys have the right kind of stuff. Obviously Connor has played a lot of tackle for us, but we've moved him into the center position. He's really taken off and grown with it, and he's a guy that's athletically gifted and physical and got the right mindset. And so I think the future's really bright for him, and we trust him in a game situation. Mekhi Wingo's been a guy that has been a really good defensive player for a long time. I know he was the Metro Player of the Year in St. Louis last year, and so he just comes in with the right work ethic and mindset. He's got quickness, plays with unbelievable effort. Arden Walker has really done the same thing, and so those guys have earned the positions that they're in.
Chris Abrams-Drain's a guy that you and Coach Wiltz have both spoken highly of throughout the offseason. Going back to last year, what was the conversation like when you asked him to play on that side of the ball, and what did you see from him in that Mississippi State game that led you all to think this is where he should stay?
In the recruiting process, we knew he was a dynamic athlete. He played quarterback, played a little bit of corner. We knew he could play slot, but just felt like he had the ability to play a lot of different positions. And last year in the spring, without knowing where the depth and all the different things were going to be, we knew we had a need in that position. And obviously he did some things in the Mississippi State game to be able to do that. I think it's pretty remarkable for us to have two players who played significant minutes last year for us on the offensive side of the ball, and in week one on defense are going to play significant minutes, whether it's Chris Abrams-Drain or Sean Robinson. And the only way you can do that is to dedicate yourself. One, you got to be a tremendous athlete, but you also have to dedicate yourself to knowing the schemes and put in extra work and extra hours. And I think both of those guys, I know they have done that, and I'm excited to see how that bears fruit for them this season.
Coach, do you have any injury update on Jay Macklin or Mookie Cooper heading into week one?
J Mac will be out week one. Mookie would be questionable. I think we're going to go into a new protocol where on Thursdays, is that right, Molly? We'll release more of an NFL style update where we'll just say, hey, who's probable, who's out, who's questionable, who's doubtful, and who's out, and then that way I don't have to, every Tuesday give updates. Really, for us, our policy is if you practice on Thursday, you got a chance to play. If you don't practice by Thursday, you're out. So that's why we'll give it to you all on Thursday. And I don't know if you'll email that, Molly, or
Yes, sir.
yeah. So
Is it right? Carlisle's had a penalty game last year, but he missed the first half this year.
yeah, JC had a targeting penalty against Mississippi State in the second half, and so then he has to miss the first half. We appealed for COVID reasons, and they didn't accept it. So I was pretty down about it, but I figured with the transfer waiver they'd waive the targeting penalty too, but I guess not.
So just how comfortable are you sending Connor Bazelak out there? How much do you think he's grown this offseason, having a full, healthy, ball game?
I mean, I'm confident he'll catch a snap, but we'll find out. He didn't have to play in front of a lot of fans last year, so he's got a whole new set of issues. Last year, not a lot of pressure coming in, performing. Now he's had an off season of everybody telling him how good he is and patting him on the back. So we'll find out how much Kool-Aid he drank or how much focus he has, and I think he's got the right stuff. I believe we prepared him the right way, but praise and blame are all the same. You can't get caught up in it either way, and so that's what we'll be testing ourselves on Saturday with.
I know you talked about the first game deal and how you don't know what you have. Is this year any different at all because so many teams across the country, and I'm not sure where Central Michigan falls, but are bringing back more guys than usual?
Yeah, I think it's extremely unique. When you look at Central Michigan, I mean, we have, 16 returning starters on offense, defense, and then we have 4 returning starters in special teams. Central Michigan, like I said, could have returned 11 starters on defense, but they've had some adjustments. Offensively, they had a couple of guys hit the portal, a couple of guys come back from 29 injury. I mean, you're talking about a team that's got, well over 30 players who've played in a lot of football games. And then you've got the addition of transfers, and so it's as unique a thing as I've seen. And I think all of us are kind of just trying to figure out where we're at after week one.
Connor playing in front of larger crowds this year, a lot of coaches have different ways they deal with that. I mean, what's that conversation like with him, and have you done anything in the offseason to get him used to that noise, distraction, atmospheres, or anything you can do to replicate it?
I mean, we've practiced against noise every day just to prepare ourselves for the road environments that we'll get in the season. I'm not really I guess I should say I'm not really worried about the crowd as much as just making sure that we're not pressing to make plays or pressing to impress people. You know, the play doesn't care who makes it. You just need to go out there and execute the play the way it's designed and take what the defense gives you. So as long as we do that, we're not pressing or trying to impress people or get caught up in the hype or trying to have the pressure to perform, then we'll be fine. But when you get in trouble is when you're feeling that pressure, like I've got to do something to warrant all the hype or warrant all the publicity and all that. And that's what you really got to avoid. You got to have a neutral thinking, and again, the play doesn't care who makes it.
You mentioned in the offseason that the offensive line was going to be your best 5 guys in game 1. You've got 5 returners here. What's the one spot? Just kind of what was experience in deciding that this offensive line goes on?
Yeah, I think all these guys, we had some really good battles all fall camp. We've mixed with a lot of different lineups to see who kind of gelled together, and we'll mix in some lineups during the course of the game. So these guys, Javon Foster's had an unbelievable offseason and has earned his opportunity, and we'll get some reps with Zeke. You've got Connor Wood and Xavier Delgado, obviously Michael Mayetti and Case Cook and Hiron White. Now, Hiron didn't play at all last year, so there's going to be a little bit of, nerves coming back from that and anxiety there. So, and he's especially going to be matched up against one of the better players in the conference, one of the best players in their conference, and one of the better players that we'll see all year at their defensive end with the Hairston young man. So, we got our hands full. Obviously, those guys have experience, but we're going to need to play physical in the trenches and protect the quarterback if we have any chance of moving the football effectively.
Eli Drinkwitz was a guy that you last year won the job outright, and I don't see anyone next to his name on the depth chart, and I know a lot of guys will play, but has he taken another step, do you feel, this offseason where he can contribute in year 2?
Yeah, I mean, Enesis does a great job of being a competitor and really took his game to the next level with the addition of some transfers. Does what we ask him to do, puts in the work. I think he made a significant contribution for us last year if you're a true freshman and playing in all 10 games. So I don't think he has to do anything more than just continue to try to improve every day, and he's done that so far.
This being your first non-conference game here, is the approach...
That's interesting.
Yeah, is it any different, the preparation, the approach, or you really just treat it the same?
Yeah, for us, it doesn't matter who the opponent is, where the opponent is. It's 1-0 each week. We have a process that we replicate, and we have a process for a week 1 opponent that we replicate, that I've been replicating since I've been a head coach. So it doesn't matter if it's a non-conference or a conference opponent for us. It's the same process for our team. And this is the only opponent that we can play. It's the only opponent that we have control of. And there's all kinds of different things and outcomes when you play in a week 1 game that you got to be prepared for, whether it's, guys catching punts on the 1-yard line and throwing them forward, or motion penalties, or bad snaps, or, just crazy things that just seem to always pop up in week 1. So I think more for us, it's just about preparing for that week 1 opponent and making sure that we've got our checks and balances in for how we're going to communicate on the sideline, how we're going to communicate in game situations, making sure we get substitutions on and off the field, making sure we're aware of the clock, making sure we're understanding of where we need to be at halftime. How are we going to react when these situations occur, whether we're up or down or give up a big play, or how are we rotating players in, keeping guys fresh? What's our plan at the heat? So those are really the things that I'm worried about, not whether it's a conference versus a non-conference style game.
Coach, is there a message that you send to the players about channeling that nervous energy that might be unique to week one?
I think the biggest thing that you can do as a competitor is focus on the things that you can control within a game. You know, when you play in a game, really all you can control is the attitude and effort that you play every play with. And then you can control knowing your assignments and executing those at a high level. I think what happens, whether it's game 1, game 6, any game, big moments, you lose focus in the moment, whether it's the previous play or the worry about the scoreboard or worried about what people might say or what the fans' reaction to it is. You know, we have a this play philosophy where the only thing that matters is this play and focusing on executing this play. You cannot do anything about the previous play, and you've got no control over the final score. The only thing that really matters is this play. And it kind of ties into us on our 1-0 mentality. Like, you know, you got 12 games on the schedule, but the only one that really matters is this week, this one. And you got to focus all your energy, all your effort on this game. And the only way you can get ready to play for Saturday is to have a great practice today. And the only way to have a great practice today is to make sure that you have great meetings. And the only way you can have a great meeting is to be there on time with a notebook, pencil, and paper ready to take notes. And so you break it down into that focus, and then when you do those things consistently and you have a great repetition by doing it, that's when the flywheel starts flying a little bit faster. That's when things are a little bit smooth, and when things are smooth, they get fast. And so that's for us the key to playing fast and eliminating the nerves.
All the talk about nerves and crowd and stuff for players. I mean, you've been coaching a while, but is there still, whether it's the night before or when you take the field, a moment of, not nerves, but, you know, anticipation and just that feeling?
I think for me, it's just a moment of soaking it up and just being grateful. You know, I opened this press conference thinking about 13 brave American soldiers in knowing how blessed I am to be in this country, to coach a game of football. You know, I never lose sight of that. And so whether it's, you know, I usually go out pretty early and just kind of look around and kind of say a few words and just remember how fortunate we are and fortunate I am to get to be the head football coach at the University of Missouri and how fortunate I've been over the course of my career. And really whatever happens next is kind of icing on the cake.
Just your message to fans to make sure that they all show up at Pro Field on Saturday.
I don't know what else they got to do. I mean, it's time to put up, really. You know, we've done a lot. There's been a lot of people engaged in a lot of things over the last 18 months to try to get this thing going. And real credit to the city of Columbia. They've painted Mizzou downtown. You know, we've got tiger paws on Champion Street. We've got some downtown initiatives. We've just kicked off a Black and Gold Fridays. Like, it's time. It really is time. Let's put it all together. I'm not promising victories and all that every Saturday. I'm just saying, hey man, it's time to get in and let's get the fans here and let's go. Let's see what we can be. And we're excited to put a great product on the field and we're excited to play. Our guys have put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this season and to this moment. Some guys have sacrificed a lot to come back. Some guys are sacrificing their bodies right now to try to get back in time, and it'd be awesome to be rewarded with a great crowd.